Sunshine Wild Pack, it's Bernadette, and I'm here with your Pick a Card Tarot reading for Saturday, June 12th, 2021. I love this card. I love this animal that came out for you because the symbolism and the meaning are going to knock you out. It's crazy because why? Because today is the third eye chakra day. It's Saturday, and it's all about deep emotional psychic-y messages. And you see how I'm kind of doing this? No, it's not a snake, but it is a water animal. And so before I dive right in there, if you're new here, welcome. I'm so happy and thrilled to have you and join our metaphysical madness. For my longtime subscribers, I can never thank you enough. I try, but I'll figure out a way one day, but I just love you and thank you. If you liked all the free content that I offer here, please go ahead and subscribe. Hit the little ringy dingy bell thingy, and that will get you all the notifications so you can be first to the game on everything, and get all your spiritual soul, all your chakras going. Get your motor running, head out on the highway. That's what you got to do with your chakras. And so, also, you'll notice always at the bottom of my screen is an address, wildpackwisdom.com/forums. I have my own forums that you can go to. It's free to join. And there's where I hang out and I discuss all things metaphysical, and spiritual and nature, tarot, psychic, crystals. It doesn't matter. You name it, mediumship, we got it there. And so I hope you will join us. So without further ado, you ready? I have so much to say about this animal. The oyster. And look, there's a little pearly pearl right inside. Now, here's the thing. It is my contention that every living thing that's considered an animal, a fish, a mollusk, an invertebrate, a reptile, an amphibian, or whatever, and humans certainly, because they're animals, can be your animal spirit totem or power animal. And I think that, and I support that because that's what I was told from the animal allies, and I'm in direct connection with them, and I do what they tell me to do, y'all. And so, if you're new here, I read from my own deck, which is the Arc Animal Tarot and Oracle deck, and it is based on the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot deck and all of that, symbolism and meaning and all the teachings, the crazy, amazing, just messages and insights, and I just can't even. I love tarot, y'all. I love tarot, and I love Oracle cards, and so it marries that system, the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot, with the crazy powerful magic of the animal allies, and creates these readings that are just off the chain. So there's a little backstory, and why oysters or oyster wanted to be one of the cards in my deck is that by the time you take a look at, y'all are about to learn a lot about oysters that you didn't even know. And it certainly has the associations with the pearl. And the pearl itself, just in terms of pearl, its symbolism, its meaning, it is ancient. It has been a revered, worshipped, used as currency, just all kinds of amazing things. People are fascinated with pearls, women especially. And so all of that said, we're going to take a deep dive. Get it? Water deep dive. We're going to take a deep dive into oyster and pearl symbolism today, and how that's meaningful for you on this Saturday, especially when today is the third eye chakra day. So first thing I want to start out with is some of the questions that people most ask about oysters is, are they alive? And yes, they're alive, and they're actually considered a marine animal. So they have the classification of an animal, and right there, that just makes them immediately, you can get in deeper relationship with them by working with their magic and their energy and their medicine. And there's so much that an oyster can teach us about so many things. First of which means, and so what I'm being shown at the moment, just in terms of the pick a card tarot reading for today, is that everything I just really keep. First of all, if you guys could feel my head, it's like it's a frying pan. I mean, you really could fry an egg on my head. And I keep my air real low because I get hot easy. And even still, I'm not warm anyplace else, but right there. And that's how I always know that my third eye is really, really starting to go wah, 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 is it gets super hot here. And so at the end of today, at the end of this day, at the end of this, tarot reading for today, this is all about your third eye chakra. This is all about you opening your third eye more, being more confident in your psychic abilities, your clairvoyant, your mediumship, your intuitive. Some of you guys call it just empathic. It's all about that today. So the first thing that's important to know is that oysters are secret keepers. I mean, you would never ever know what beauty they hide inside of them if they weren't pried open. Now, as for those long time, people that have known me a while, I'm an animal lover and like a freak of nature when it comes to protecting them and preserving them and making the world better for them. And that includes humans. It's just really, I lean more toward the fin and the claws and the furs and the fur and the feathers, that kind of thing, even scales. And I will tell you that there's the first lesson. Oysters don't show their value to humans, which is their value. For people that know about ecology, they are wildly valuable to the environment. But to most people, they're valuable because they're a food source, and they're valuable for the pearl that they might have inside of them. That's it. That oyster symbolism and meaning right there is very important to your third eye chakra and your crown chakra in particular, because it speaks of not allowing people to pry into your private thoughts, your private life, for you not to pry yourself open. Don't develop try to develop your psychic abilities, your tarot reading abilities, skills. Don't try to pry that open before it's time. I would venture to say, just because I've done over 65,000 readings at this point. I've taught thousands of people, psychic development and tarot and spirit animals and shamanism, that kind of thing. And people usually fall within two camps. They just cannot wait to get everything just open, or they're like, ooh, I'm afraid, and they go to it really, slowly. That today is the day for you people that are like, I want to know it all. I want to be fully open. No, you don't. No, you don't. And you're not ready for it. And so Oyster will tell you that just in terms of its meaning as a spirit totem and power animal, you open when you're ready to open. Don't let outside pressures of any kind try to pry your third eye open. Now, having said that, let me say this. One of the most asked questions about oysters is, are they alive? And the answer is, yes, they are. They're animals. They're marine animals. Yes, they're alive. And they have a heart that pumps blood. It's colorless blood, but they have a 3-chambered heart that pumps blood, and they have gills, interestingly enough. And when, I'm sorry to break the news to you, but oysters are alive when you eat them. Even if you get them on the half shell in a restaurant or, beachside, or you oyster dive yourself or whatever, they're still living when they're sent to you or when you receive them. It is not my place to tell you how to eat, what you should believe and what you shouldn't believe. However, there's a tremendous amount of information out there that I think is patently wrong. And that is that oysters do not feel pain, that they aren't aware or sentient beings. And I don't believe that. Don't believe it. And I don't think it can be proven, because for centuries and centuries, people didn't think that fish had feelings or were intelligent. And now it's proven that they do, and they are. And so I would invite you to know that the other part of oyster symbolism and meaning is that you very well could be experiencing situations with people who don't understand you. who don't see you for who you really are, or what your value is, or give you the due respect that you deserve. And so that's something to think about. And conversely, it might be that you are maybe not seeing someone else for the value that they really have. You're not seeing them in their fullness or in their glory the way that you could see them or should see them. So you can take that away also. Now, having said that, let me say this. So one of the other most asked questions about oysters is, interestingly, what does if you guys have ever heard the phrase "the world is your oyster," or you've heard people say "the world is my oyster," well, what does that mean exactly, right? The world is your oyster, meaning what exactly? Now, if you look into it, basically what it says is the world is open to everything. You have everything that you want, meaning you can have everything that you want. You can have everything that you need, and your world is just, it is, you can achieve anything you want. You can go anywhere you wish, and you've got the opportunity and ability to do so. I'm not even exactly sure where it all came from, but it is, it's been around since forever and ever and ever. And it is thought that the phrase was coined by William Shakespeare in The Merry Wives of Windsor. Falstaff is like, I will not lend thee a penny. And Pistol says, why then the world's oyster? What is it he says? Let me read it again. I never get this phrase right, and I tell people this all the time. Not that this is the gospel, right? But this is what we read online or read in books about where this phrase came from, which is, and then Pistol says, why then the world's mine oyster, which I with sword will open. And really, that it doesn't, it's not really pertaining to wealth, although, in ancient times, when the only way to get pearls was to go get them, fish them out of the sea and oceans and crack them open and get the pearl. Today, I don't know if you guys know this, but literally 99% of the pearls available for jewelry these days are cultured pearls. They're lab made. Okay. Which, in my mind is better than, killing an oyster to crack it open just to see if it's got a pearl, because an astonishingly low amount of oysters actually cultivate pearls. Astonishingly low. So it's like that always reminds me of, you got to kiss a lot of frogs to get your prince. It reminds me of that. And, while kissing frogs isn't really so detrimental, cracking open a living thing and just leaving it lay aside because it didn't have your pearl, well, you might have some ethical issues with that. That said, it's not about life so much as it's all of life's richness. It's all of the, before medicine was really medicine and society, kind of knows what the nutritional value of an oyster is. Oysters were long thought to be aphrodisiacs. And so only the wealthy could have them. The wealthy class could get at least the freshest and the best ones, right? So that's also how it came to signify wealth. And queens and empresses and, high priestesses from all over the world have long had a love affair with the pearl. So that's one of the other things that you might want to take a look at, is really what's valuable to you. What do you want to cultivate? What kind of pearls do you want to cultivate in your own life? What kind of world around you do you want to cultivate? And that plays very, very heavily into oyster symbolism and meaning. So the other thing, there are so many things. I could go on for hours about oysters. I think they're one of the most symbolism-rich animals in the animal kingdom. Of course, I say that about every animal. It's probably true, but just because I love it. I love it all so much, and I love what it does to help you all, self-actualize and become more confident in your own self, your own intuition. I love it. So here's the other thing. Pearls are made by, there's an irritant, some sand, some grit that gets into an oyster. And then it, as it goes through the process, that's turned into a pearl. In that, you want to talk about overcoming like a spirit animal, a totem animal, a power animal that will help you overcome the irritating things in life. And you hear the phrase, don't sweat the small stuff. Well, I wouldn't sweat the small stuff, but you got to handle the small stuff. And if you think about the size of a couple grains of sand that'll get in an oyster and just irritate its, just irritate the shiitake mushrooms out of it, but out of that comes a pearl. And so oyster is just such great symbolism. It's symbolic meaning around what we can do in our own lives, that we don't sweat the small stuff. We simply take it in and grind it up and let it sit there for a bit, and you spit out a pearl, right? So, and just like that too. I want a video of you guys spitting out your pearls. I do. So make sure you're there to catch them, or just get a cup and you can spit. You can do like we do in the South, right into a cup, right? Not this old girl, but you know what I'm saying. Those tobacco chewers down here in the South. And so whatever adversity you're having, in particular, as it pertains to your third eye, and that's because of today's reading, but as it pertains to your everything on every day, oyster is just such a great helpmate for that. Now, when we talk about hidden meaning or hidden treasures, which is also what oysters are associated with in terms of, their myth, their legend, their symbolic meaning, that kind of thing, it's because they do keep that pearl inside until such time as they have to open. And in that, when we think of the other phrase, pearls of wisdom, and we think, we get that, oh, wow, okay, well, one of the reasons that pearls are fresh, for either whether freshwater or saltwater, a real pearl rather than a cultured pearl, is highly, highly valued. And a lot of it has to do with really ancient wisdom, which is, it's thought that pearls are deeply tied to lunar energy. I mean, they can look like the moon. They're luminescent. They just have that whole shimmery, mystical kind of thing going on. And of course they are in the water, which is, the element of emotions. So as you are working with oyster as your spirit totem and power animal, well, if oyster shows up to you as a spirit animal, then one of I've always found when people are like, I don't know why and inevitably somebody will tell me, I'm hungry for oysters all of a sudden. In the world that I move in, that's usually a call that somebody is having a difficult time seeing their own value, seeing themselves as a beauty. And so in that, if oyster comes to you as your spirit animal, it is really important that you consider at least examining your own feelings or thoughts on self-worthiness, on do you feel beautiful? And that's mind, body, spirit. And if you don't, I gotta believe that's the few grits of sand that that disturb your demons. And so the answer to that would then be to figure it out and grind those irritants and work past those irritants and mold them, meaning yourself, into the true rare beauty that you really are. And a lot of that probably doesn't even have to do with changing anything at all, except for how you value yourself. That's it. It's not like, you're being told by pearl or oyster to go drop weight, gain weight, get your hair cut, get it colored, let it grow long, to buy different clothes, wear different makeup. It's not like that. It can be part of it, but that's only if you want to. Other than that, it's more internal than that. It's more of a self-actualization than that. Now, totems are who you are, who you were born to be, right? It starts with your zodiac sign. But in terms of when you work with spirit, totem, and power animals, the totem part is the animal or animals that you most identify with that is different, or a separate animal or bird or fish or, reptile or amphibian or, whatever, that just has always spoken to you. Like, for instance, those of you that have known me for a bit, well, if you know me for 5 seconds, you'll find out I'm completely obsessed with bears my whole life. And I know that I know that I know, as much as Scorpio is my Western zodiac totem animal, it's snake in Native American birth totems. And then in Celtic, it's snake. And in Chinese astrology, it's also snake. I'm Scorpio through and through and through and through and through. I really am a triple Scorpio. So that's great. Okay. But I definitely exhibit many characteristics and traits of the typical Scorpio personality, I'm more like a bear, the actual animal, than anything else. So if you particularly resonate with birds, in particular a kind of bird, a flamingo, a stork, a finch, a fairy wren, that kind of thing, hummingbirds, certainly people love their hummingbirds, then that's your totem, because you identify with that animal. You are very much like it. Now, you can easily, who wouldn't want to easily identify with an oyster, because that hidden knowledge they have really speaks to people who are all about the mystical arts and the even the occultish path, the metaphysical path, the spiritual path. In metaphysics, it's you could even call it New Age if you want. But those of you that practice ritual and ceremony and shaman, if you're a shamanic journeyer, if you're a shamanic healer, psychic mediumship at all, that is a great totem for you to identify with. Now, power animal, on the other hand, oyster as a power animal, that is all about knowing that you are every animal and every plant and every living thing, and it is you. And what that means is, instead of invoking the oyster from inside of you, think of it conversely, almost inside out, where you're stepping out of the oyster that you are to complete a human task or have a human experience, so that the majority of your energetic matrix, your imprint, really is oyster-like. And in that, oh my gosh, when you want to reignite passion for your life, that is great, great oyster medicine. The other thing is, people take a look at oysters and all they see are usually, not such beautiful shells on the outside. They think, they get dark and they get colored, covered over with, algae and all that kind of thing. But you pop those puppies open and their shells are lustrous. And again, they might have a beautiful lustrous pearl inside, luminescent, that brings lots of moon energy in, brings the moon goddesses in. But it's definitely power when you really are working with the don't judge a book by its cover kind of thing within yourself. Oyster can be a great power animal. And the other thing it can be a great power animal for is, I've got to believe that oysters don't care what we think of them, unless we mean them harm. And I believe they can feel it, know it, sense it. They know they're animals. And I'm not even going to go back in there again and dispute, PhDs with scientific backgrounds and, degrees and whatever. But I think they're patently wrong about oysters not being able to feel anything. I don't think that's true. So when you really want to feel powerful, and maybe you don't, maybe that's the whole point of you stepping into oyster as a spirit totem and power animal, but for sure a power animal, maybe you're feeling insignificant, maybe you're feeling passed over, maybe you're feeling like people don't understand you. Oyster is a great helpmate for that, because an oyster doesn't care. It doesn't care. An oyster is a self-contained unit, even though they grow in clusters, which is also, a great call to get with a community of like-minded people. I would encourage you to know that at the end of the day, it's about you and what you think and what you feel and how you show up in the world and how confident you are and what power you want to have. And oyster can help you do that. Now, pearls are again, they're very rare. And again, I'm being encouraged by the animal spirit guides to just say it one more time. You are a rare beauty. You are a rare find. You're just you, and there's nobody else like you. There's nobody else that comes with the skill sets and the abilities and the way of moving through this world. It's individual. I don't care if you're an identical twin. It's still different on many levels, right? So, the readings are going to go longer than they normally have in the past. I've been told by Spirit to do that. And so that's why this video is a bit longer today. I hope that you found it valuable. I hope that you can see now how oysters, their symbolism, their meaning, their medicine, their energy as a spirit totem and power animal. I really hope that you can take a different look at oyster, because if you will, and you'll get in deep relationship with oyster, or deeper relationship with oyster, and then by extension the pearl, you could uncover some unbelievable mystical, magical things about yourself, your abilities, your soul calling, your life path. It could be quite something. So pick up your copy of the Arc Animal Tarot and Oracle deck, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and what is the most important thing that you can do today and every day? Do good for animals, including yourself, and stay wild.